Aloha, shalom. Good to see you guys. I'm here as usual, tuning in live from Sedona, Arizona, and I am outside. It's chilly. It's really chilly. It may even snow. So while you guys are tuning in, I'm going to go ahead and pull out my cards to start shuffling. For those of you who are new to these activations have been happening for some years now, for a few years now, almost 4 years actually, and we use the moon as a measurement of time, nothing else. So these activations don't really have anything to do with the moon other than the fact that we use the moon to measure the 4 quarters that we meet. The light of the moon is always reflecting the light behind all things. The moon is just a more obvious reflection of what is going on underneath it all. Go ahead and let me know where you're tuning in from in the world. Just drop a comment and let me know. Where in the world are you tuning in from? It's been really awesome to see everybody tuning in from all over the world and just uniting in this space, in the same message. Such a cool ritual that we've been uniting for. Good to see you guys tuning in. Go ahead, let me know where you're tuning in from. Again, I'm tuning in from Sedona, Arizona, as usual. So we just had the full moon last week. It was actually on Halloween. It was the blue moon. Feels like forever ago already. It feels like so much happens in a day, right? So today is the final quarter. And we're closing up a cycle and preparing for a new one. I love the final quarter because it's like the in-between week. We're getting ready to close up the last cycle, tie up the loose ends, and open up a space for the new one to begin. So we're bridging the old cycle and the new. So go ahead and let go of whatever's been replaying on repeat in your mind. Just open up, empty yourself, so that we can tune into this space where information can actually be received. So, how are we going to close up this last cycle and begin anew? Go ahead and shuffle yourself into the deck, however you know how. Use your imagination. Mind is everything. Again, for those of you guys just tuning in, let me know where you're tuning in from. Drop a comment, let us all know. Just shuffling you all into the deck. Lay out my little blanket for the cards here. You guys don't often get to see what it looks like. It's this pretty blue velvety blanket. So pretty, royal blue, like the firmament, the night sky. It actually looks like my book. I surround myself with a lot of blue. Even my car is blue. I don't mean for it to happen. It's just kind of that color of the High Priestess. So, as we're all just tuning into the infinite space of the heart, letting go of thoughts and emotions we've been carrying all day, all week, all month. There's a lot going on collectively right now, right? Politically right now. Just let that all go. Just for this moment. You can pick it back up after if you'd like. So what's the number one thing that we need to be shown right now? It's going to show us what we need to work on in order to close up the last cycle. What's something that's calling our attention so that we can best and most efficiently, collectively, close up this last monthly cycle? And who is our ally right now as we seek to perform that task? Who is our ally? Okay. Starting with the first question, what is the underlying operation that needs our attention right now? Energetically, archetypally, what is that operation that wants to be unveiled? Ooh, okay. 5 of Cups. Cups is water, emotions, the heart, right? Like the chalice, the grail of the heart. And this is keyword disappointment. He's looking down, he's wearing black, right? He's looking down at the 3 cups that have spilled, but there are 2 cups still standing behind him. And as long as he's looking at everything that's spilled, as long as he's sitting there in sadness and disappointment about what has just recently unfolded, the pain, the suffering, the hardships, he won't be able to turn around and see the opportunities that still stand. A big message that comes with this card is to remember quality over quantity. Yes, there are only 2 cups standing and there are 3 spilled, but what's in those cups? If you look at the spilled cups, there's some like red liquid there. A little hard to see, but it's like blood? No, it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter exactly what it is. The point is the color and what it symbolizes. And red symbolizes desires and the world of senses and materialism. And all that stuff is temporary anyway. So whatever has spilled, there's no point in sitting there and lamenting over it and just getting stuck in it and consumed by it, because it's temporary anyway. And of course you want to properly grieve because there's magic in the grieving process. And there's much to be said about that. Y'all can Google the Kabbalah or the mysticism behind grieving. There's a lot of cool information out there about the grieving process and the magic that it holds. However, at a certain point we need to realize that life must go on and that there are still opportunities standing. And what's more is that there may be opportunities within that pain. That these cups may not even be separate from these cups. The point is, the longer we stay focused on the pain, the more we prolong that process of discovering what opportunities are still standing, what opportunities are knocking. So this being our current focus, right? This was the card that we asked, what is our focus right now in order to best seal up this last month, everything that's happened up until now? Move on. And I feel like this is so simple, as it always is when you go to the Kabbalistic root of each of these pieces of archetypal wisdom. It's so clear. So clear. Behind all of the advice we could be giving ourselves and each other right now, right? As far as like politically what's happening, like globally what's happening, not just as far as politics, but like evolution of consciousness, right? So much shifting, so intense. And behind all of the advice we're giving each other, this complex information that we're exchanging, is this simple idea that we can encourage each other to look at, which is, well, as always, in each moment, we have to take what is there and make the best of it. Because we're alchemists, we're magicians. And not just to selfishly serve ourselves. That's not why we've been given this power of being these creators, created in the image of the creator, right? We are these like co-creators of this magical world, and we came here to do that, not just to please ourselves in selfish ways, but to make magic for the collective, for all of us together. So in each moment, the reason this is given a card, this archetypal wisdom is given a card in the story of the tarot, in the deck. The reason it's given its place is because it's something that's relative each moment to our existence, to our lives. It's saying that each moment we're meant to make the most of it. And whether we're grieving or we're joyous, whatever we're experiencing, how are we taking that experience and using that experience for the sake of the Creator, for the highest good of all as one? So, bringing this down to earth and everything that we've just gone through this past month, how can we as a collective society take all of what we might have judged as bad or scary or disappointing and go, well, it is what it is. It is what it is in this moment. And I'm going to make the best of that. I'm going to take the emotion that I'm feeling and I'm going to remember it's electricity. And I'm going to direct it into the proper channels that I believe will lead us toward a higher reality. Just use what you've got, whatever emotion it is, and make it productive toward your goals, which are hopefully aligned with the goals of the Most High. Because we're here to align our small will, right, the will of man, with the will of the divine. God, Source, Hashem, Allah, whatever you want to call this beautiful, great spirit that connects us all. So how can we take everything that's happened this month, everything, especially the stuff that we have judged as bad or scary or disappointing, and make the most of it? Even if it's like anger that you're sitting with, right? Or sadness, how can you work with that? Because just sitting in it isn't going to do anything. How can you work with it? In one simple way, I'll give you an example. You can take your sadness and you can use it to empathize with others and have others feel, hey, they're not alone. That's a simple way to unify community through an emotion that could have potentially been perceived as negative. Oh, you're sad. Yeah, but if we can be sad together, then we can relate. We're human. That's why we're here, to relate, right? To share this experience. So there are many ways that you could take whatever you're feeling and find the opportunity there for growth. We have to look at what the situation is, take it for what it is, and make the best of it. Don't be so consumed by something you're judging to be negative that you don't even see the opportunities knocking. Because there always are opportunities knocking, because that's why we're here. This is school of life, right? For growth. And so there are always opportunities surrounding us to grow. And sometimes they're more hidden. We can't see it, especially when we're so consumed by disappointment or sadness. It's almost like we put up a wall and we don't hear those opportunities knocking. Especially because behind the opportunities we think we are receiving are those deeper opportunities that are always in reference to our virtuous path, right? Because ultimately behind the material opportunities, like job opportunities, relationship opportunities, etc., are really opportunities to be more virtuous, to be more patient, to be more kind, to be more compassionate in general, to be more honest, to be more supportive, to be more inclusive. Behind the opportunities we've been seeking, our soul is seeking the opportunities within those opportunities to grow in that light of the different virtues that ultimately make up the all virtuous light of compassion, which contains all the virtues. So that's what we really have to remember. We always have to bring it back to that simplicity, to that place of the virtues. How can we pull ourselves out of this dismay, this disappointment, this complaining about what is, and instead look into it a little more deeply and see the opportunities for soul growth that are there? How is what happened this month, not just for you individually, but for us collectively, how has all that's unfolded this month maybe allowed for you to grow in ways that you didn't expect, right? Like, how has it allowed your heart to stretch and your mind to stretch? How have the struggles of this past month or the disappointments allowed you to break your heart open a little more in a way that's actually really good if you look at it a little deeper? How have your disappointments this month shown you that you're stronger than you thought? How have the things that you saw as a curse, in hindsight, maybe become a blessing? Well, although I didn't like the unfolding of this situation this past month, right? This is like I'm giving you an example. Although I didn't like how this unfolded or that unfolded this month, it sure showed me how to be more patient. It sure showed me how to be more honest with who I am more honest with myself, more honest with others. It has showed me to be more kind toward others who maybe have different opinions than I do, different way of seeing things. Because remember, it's not about the material circumstances. All that is temporary, right? That's what I was talking about with the red liquid being poured out. It's all temporary, so it doesn't matter. Like what president is getting elected, right? It doesn't matter, because that's not forever. We should really be concerned with what's forever, what's everlasting. Because even while we're in these bodies, we have the potential to transcend the illusion and see what's really worth our energy, our thought power, our emotions. And the things that are really worth all that are things that go beyond the grave, are things that affect the next 7 generations, things that last beyond this life. So remember, don't fall into the trap of whatever is disappointing you on a material level, on the material plane, even when it seems the whole world is talking about it and it's so important. But is it temporary? Okay, then really look deeper. Don't allow the disappointment of something happening on the material plane to pull you out of your awareness of the world, of the actual cause of all that. Don't allow the material entanglement to have you forget why we're really here. It's a test of our ability to remain on the virtuous path. That's all it is. Because when we cultivate the light of the different virtues, which are all parts of the all virtuous light of compassion, right? The virtues are like the rivers that lead to the ocean of compassion. When we ride any of those rivers to compassion, when we embody any of the virtuous frequencies, honesty, patience, kindness, respect, support, inclusiveness, when we embody any of those frequencies, we grow in that light. And that light that we cultivate, that light that we multiply, lasts forever. Whereas in the opposite light, right, in the dark, when we embody the vices, the opposites of the virtues, when we embody impatience, dishonesty, dishonor, jealousy, right? When we embody any of those, the results are temporary. And even if they last the whole lifetime, they die with this body. So they're just not worth it. It's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. Embody it for as long as you need to, until you realize that you're inevitably going to have to tip the scales and move toward the virtue, the opposite force, the neutralizing force. The vices are great because they're there to teach us lessons so that we can ultimately return back to the light, the opposite end of the spectrum, the virtue that matches the particular vice. That's why we're here. That's why we're human, why we make mistakes. It's all temporary anyway, so it's not something to fear. The devil is not something to fear. Falling off the path, getting pulled into darkness, drugs, addiction, whatever. Bless it. It's all here to teach us, because we inevitably return to the light. Even if it takes the death of this body, there will be again. So remember what's real. Remember what's sustainable. Remember what lasts beyond this body. And maintain those morals, those values, those beliefs while you're still alive and in this body. It will elevate your experience in so many magical ways. Don't allow the disappointments of the outside world to trip you out in such a way that you forget why you're really here. What virtue is it testing in you? What is your disappointment on the outside calling you to cultivate within yourself? More of what? It's always one of the virtues that you're being called to cultivate more of. It's just as simple as that. If you're feeling angry at the situation outside of you, whether it's your individual stuff or collective stuff, right? If you're feeling angry, how are you naturally and instinctively choosing to respond with that anger? How is that anger wanting to be expressed through you? Watch closely. If you're joyful, how are you sharing that? And how can you maximize the potential of that joy to heal our world, right? It's like, what emotion am I experiencing, and how can I use that for the highest good, whatever it is? And if I've been using it for the highest good, how can I take that to the next level? How can I take it even higher? So pay attention to the emotions that you're experiencing as an effect of what's happening outside of you, and take the reins. Use whatever that feeling is to shift your response. Okay, the next card is, who is our ally right now as we move out of this disappointment and material entanglement to remember that we're just being tested. We're here to discover what virtue we're being called to work on, right? Who is our ally in that process of remembrance? Ooh, 9 of Cups. So we just had the 5 of Cups, and this is so good. I already see so much to say about this. 9s are endings, their completion, their fulfillment, and this is Cups again, just like we just pulled, and so it's the suit of emotions and the heart and water. So how can we pull ourselves out of the disappointment of what's going on? How can we remember the unseen world, the world of causes and not effects, not the stuff on the outside? How can we go within and remember what true happiness and fulfillment of the heart really looks like? We'll create a vision of it. See that ending, see that fulfillment, create a frequency of what that fulfillment feels like, and then embrace it and hold on to it. Hold on to it. Because if you fill yourself with that frequency, if you create that within your mind's eye and within your heart, that vision and that frequency, that feeling of what it's like to actually be fulfilled in your heart, and you really meditate on that day and night, all day reminding yourself of that vision, that feeling, then how could you remain disappointed? How could you remain stuck in the material entanglement, the disappointment that you now are aware is only temporary anyway? Right? It's like we're moving from the 5 and we're skipping to the 9. The tarot is a sequence, it's a sequential story. And so it helps when you're in the earlier stages of each of the suits, right? Like you're in the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5, to look, okay, well, let me project myself into the 9, into the 10, into the Knight, the Page, the Queen, the King. Let me project myself into the mastery of the suit so I can kind of have a trajectory, so I can have an aim as to where I'm going with all of this. And if you see yourself already there in the future, in the completion, in the fulfilled heart, then it helps you move through this part of the 5 of Cups a lot more easily. By the way, 9 and 5 makes 14, which reduces to a single digit of 5 again. Interesting, you always want to play with the numbers when you're working with tarot. So in order to move through this quickly, this is our ally. This one is saying, this is how I'm going to help you close up this last cycle and prepare for the new one in the way that's most efficient. We are here to help you gather your energies and direct them most efficiently for the highest good of yourself and yourself, of which we are all a part. So this one says to this one, let's see these as parts of ourselves, right? And this one says, oh, I'm really disappointed about this thing that just happened. I'm really disappointed about it. I'm really disappointed. I'm really disappointed. I'm really disappointed. And this one says, okay, but remember that everything is always in divine order, okay? Everything's happening for a reason. So even that thing that you're so busy being disappointed about, once you can look at it and see through it and see the opportunities that stand there for real fulfillment, like you might have thought that this should have gone a different way and that's why you're disappointed, but you need to accept that nothing is outside of divine order, and what is happening is meant to happen exactly as it's happening. So find the opportunities therein. And the only way you'll be able, this one says, the only way you'll fully be able to see the opportunities that are standing is when you remember the real opportunities of the soul, why we're really here, what we really came here for, not to see this material unfolding that you're now disappointed didn't go your way. But we're here to cultivate those aspects of the heart, the virtues. When you remember that that's why we're here, the opportunities are clear. When you remember that's why we're here, the opportunities become clear. When you remember that's why you're here, the opportunities become clear. Opportunities for fulfillment, the overflowing cup, satisfaction, with where we're at, with our heart, with our emotions. When we remember why we're really here, it all becomes clear. The real opportunities we came here for, the real opportunities that our soul seeks, is those ones that have an eternal, everlasting effect. Not just on you, the you that has, like the me, Rebecca, in this life, but like the you that is the one. That's why we're really here, to aim for those higher goals. I'm not here to just like get this job or get this girl or get this guy or get this new shirt or get this new car. I'm here to be tested, to prove to myself that especially when things get uncomfortable, I can alchemize that experience and I can embody and actualize the light of the virtues. Because when it's easy, there's not much room for transformation, right? When we take the scale from this to this, that growth that happens is huge. That's why we're here. So we're not here to get the shirt, get the car, get the guy, get the girl, get the job. We're here to get the light. We're here to be the light, to create more light, to multiply the light. Have you ever heard of that before? That we're here to multiply the light? This is a Kabbalistic concept, and Kabbalah is the technology that is at the root of all religions. Science and math. It's the science of light that we all are. So we're here to multiply the light. That is a pursuit worthy of this existence, because the effects are everlasting. So this one says, quit being disappointed about what's happening. Did you forget that everything's happening in divine order? Nothing can be outside of that plan. Did you forget? And that's okay. And it's good to examine why you forgot. Why did you allow yourself to forget? What's the lesson there? Because when we fall or when we become distracted or materialistically entangled, there's a good juicy lesson there. But as long as we're mad at ourselves for it and just kicking ourselves, that's not going to get us anywhere. We have to be receptive and understanding and have compassion for ourselves. Okay, why did I become disappointment? Why did I get trapped in this illusion again? What am I here to learn? Not like, oh man, I got trapped again. I fell for the trap again. I got sucked into my disappointment. Okay, well now you're just getting further sucked into your disappointment. How can you see that it has a lesson for you there? So again, this one says to this one, why did you get trapped in the disappointment of what just happened? What energetically was going on there? Why did you feel such a sadness and an emotional response to what just happened? Why did you feel that way? Why did it move you from your center so much? And how can you allow that observance of what has just unfolded to guide you toward the virtue that you're needing to cultivate right now? Why did you allow yourself to become so disappointed and consumed by the defeat or the sorrow on the material plane? Look at that. It has answers for you. And then see the opportunities there and be open to receiving them. And redirect your emotions, your emotional response, to be helpful for your path, for your growth, for our growth as one. So create a vision of what your fulfillment looks like, fulfillment of the heart, and may it be based on the fulfillment of the one heart. Because that's the only way our fulfillment is going to be sustainable, right? So when I say create a vision of, and a feeling of, especially the feeling of, what that fulfillment of the heart means, you really want to consider the heart of the one. And what fulfills that heart fulfills your heart, because it is one of which we are all a part. And that one heart embodies that golden light of compassion, that all virtuous light, as you've heard it called. And so the different virtues then must be the different pieces of that all virtuous light. So how do we get to the fulfillment of that one heart? We must fulfill our heart, which means, this might be pretty far out, but it's quite simple. It might sound pretty far out, but it's quite simple. It means that we just have to embody the different virtues, all of them. And if we just look at our lives, we'll see which one is calling to be embodied. You will see. And if you can't see and you can't determine which virtue is particularly needing your help right now, because we are the ally, right? We've got the senses and the body for those virtuous lights to enter and do their thing. Without us, that light, it already exists perfectly in another dimension. So when we don't know which light is calling for us to be its ally, start with any virtue. Pick any one and go do a good deed. Look for opportunities to be more honest. Look for opportunities to be more supportive. Look for opportunities to be inclusive, because in this world of pain and suffering, there are so many. There are so many. There's no excuse. If you don't know where to begin, pick any one, because all of the virtues are rivers that lead to the ocean of compassion, which is representative of that one heart. So again, when you're creating your vision and your frequency, your feeling of the heart's fulfillment, which the Nine of Cups is, and that's the thing that's going to be your why, right? Like your motivation for moving past whatever disappointment you're experiencing right now, right? So when you create that vision, make sure it's sustainable. And the only way to do that is to understand that your heart's fulfillment inevitably is related to your ability to cultivate virtuous light. So what would make your heart feel good? Being more honest with yourself, with the people around you, being more patient, being more giving, being more kind, being more compassionate. Which one of those would bring more wholeness to your heart, bring more light into your heart? That will help you get pulled out of the disappointment that you've been consumed by, so you can get back on track with the opportunities that stand for you to cultivate more of that light of compassion through any one of its parts, any one of the virtues. As you embody the different virtues, right, the different frequencies of the different virtues, they're sort of like keynotes of all of reality. You start to embody this note of honesty and that note of inclusiveness and that note of joy, whatever, all the different virtues, right? Patience. And then together, all of those notes, those keynotes, start to play a song in your heart. And when you embody them all and they start to form that synergy and that song is like the song of songs. It's the frequency of compassion. It starts to play that tune in your heart. You become attuned to the light of the original emanation, the light behind all of creation. That's why we're here. And those opportunities always stand no matter what you're so busy being disappointed about. The opportunities are still there, and they're patiently waiting for you to see them, for you to discover them. They say grieve as long as you need to, because there are lessons there. There is magic in the grieving. And when you're ready, will be here within you opportunities to cultivate more virtuous light through the most challenging and painful experiences, no matter what it is. Those opportunities say, it's okay. Learn from this grief. And when you're ready, I'm here. And you will grow from this. You will grow from this. This is the way of life. This is law. This is universal. We're here when you're ready. That's what those opportunities say. So remember what really fulfills the heart. Remember why you're really here. And remember the opportunities to fill your heart with more light always stand. Even when you're forgetting, even when you can't quite see it, even when you're so busy in the sorrow, in the darkness, even when you're so disappointed, the opportunities are still there. And the sooner you remember this, the more fulfilled you can be, even in the painful space, even in that place of disappointment. You can simultaneously feel the hope. That's what I was saying about this imagery right here. You can be experiencing both those cups at the same time, disappointment, but also a deep wisdom and understanding that, hey, I will grow from this. You need to grieve and you need to go through. You need to grow through what you go through, right? But you can absolutely maintain hope in the darkest hour and in the most painful times. I know you can. We all can. We all have this inherent ability. It's a gift. And that's why you see your role models or some of the strongest people in history have been these people who kept hope alive, not just for themselves, but for their tribes, for their communities, for the world. Because they were able to see through the darkest of times and the darkest of ages, this light at the end of the tunnel, this hope that everything is in divine order. And I cannot ever deny that, not for a second. These people are the space holders for the light. These people are the gatekeepers. These people are the protectors of all that is true, all that is love, all that is life, all that is light. There need to be these people who hold on to the faith so strongly that they cannot be shaken even for one moment. They believe and know so strongly each moment that nothing is outside of divine order, so that even when the rest of the world forgets, this one can carry the light. And I'm just saying that each one of you has this archetype within. Each one of you has the ability to awaken that archetype within, to be the unshakable space holder for hope and for light, for life, for love, for truth. We each have that within us. I just want you to know that you're special. We all are. We all have this ability to do that. So how can you do that right now? Through the darkest of times, through your darkest hour. Know in your heart and in your mind that there are opportunities there for your highest growth and for our highest growth. And if you want more help to connect to these archetypes, because there are many, there's not just one, there's an archetype, there's an embodiment of wisdom that matches whatever we're going through in any moment. There's always one that is tailor-made for that particular experience. And if you want to know how to do this, you guys, this is what my book talks about, The Royal Path, Activating the Archetypal Alliance Within. If you go on Amazon, you type in The Royal Path Activating, it'll pop up, or you can order it from me directly, and I make handmade custom bookmarks that are made out of tarot cards, old tarot cards. This book helps you to activate that inner archetypal alliance. I wrote it so that you can understand the tarot outside of just being a deck of cards, that these characters represent different aspects of yourself, of your own psyche, of the universal mind even, not just your own mind. But these archetypes connect you to that energy, but also you to the energy that exists within me and within all of life. So it's profound when you can tap into this archetypal wisdom. It helps you to navigate life with more grace, with more ease, without crisis, in a way that's empowering. So if you want it, reach out. You guys, I've also been making these awesome herbal blends. This one has so many beautiful things in it. This is called the Fountain of Youth Facial Steam. It's for men or women, any age. It's a traditional healing practice, an ancient way. You steam the herbs and you put your face over it and you put a towel over your head. It's good for your lungs. It's good for your brain, for your mental focus. And it's also amazing for your skin. I don't know if you guys knew this, but hibiscus is in here, and that's called the Botox plant. It's skin tightening. There's also green tea in here. There's turmeric. These things are anti-aging, cell renewing. There's antimicrobial, antibacterial, antiviral properties in everything that's in this bag. There's also Egyptian blue lotus, rose, calendula, chamomile, lavender. So many amazing things in here. And so it's called the Fountain of Youth because it helps you to have that youthful glow, heal any issues with your skin, but also heals you internally, like I said, with your lungs and with your brain, your mind. There's rosemary in there, eucalyptus, mint. So reach out if you want some of these magical herbs. I'll ship them to you, or if you're local, come by and pick them up. You know, I'm in Sedona. Thank you guys so much for joining me for this activation portal. I'll see you next week. I've got a lot of fun things going on throughout the week that I share in my private groups on Facebook called The Royal Path. Actually, it's just called Royal Path, not The Royal Path. My other group is Shabbat Crew. That one is more on the Jewish mysticism and Kabbalah that we discuss. And I mainly post in there toward the end of the week, as Shabbat is Friday night. It lasts 24 hours, Friday night to Saturday night. So go ahead and join us there if you want to play and experience more magic in between these activations. Thank you for activating this message with me. Please share it with anyone you think could benefit from this message. Any groups that you're a part of that you think would receive this message well. Light workers, meditation groups, awareness groups, yoga groups, anything like this. if you feel that your groups or your friends or your family even would appreciate this message, please go ahead and send it to them. I appreciate you guys. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Shalom.